Hello, family and friends. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Cody. Today we're going to talk about the senior year of my high school days. Lots of memories, lots of stories. Try to remember as many classes and teachers that I had and share that with you. Before I get started in the classes, there's a couple of memories that I want to share. Maybe some names that people haven't heard for a long time. One of the things I'll tell you about our senior year, the first guy that I'm going to mention is our German exchange student that we used to run around with, Thomas Leopold. There's going to be a few stories involving Thomas. The first one, he lived with the Woods family. I believe they were on Garfield Street. Garfield and 2nd Avenue North. Keith and Faye Woods. And he came to us from Germany for his senior year. And we chummed around with him. Alan Kawasaki, Pat Friesen, David Denault, various others. One story in particular about him is that he used to get German beer shipped to him from back home, and he would share it with his close friends, and we got a little taste of German beer. So that was kind of fun. The second memory that I'll tell you about with him, when we were seniors and our basketball team qualified for state, we decided to take a little trip and go watch the basketball tournament in Billings. And so we loaded up, I believe it was Lenny Vine's car, and there was Pat Friesen and David Denault, Thomas Leopold, Alan Kawasaki, and myself. And Pat always seemed to be able to manage to find a buyer for us. So we had a trunk load of booze, and we were loaded for bear, to go watch the state basketball tournament in Billings. And off we went. And what a time we had. We got caught on the rims drinking by a couple of motorcycle cops. Luckily, we closed the trunk just before they pulled up, and they only managed to find a bottle of R&R underneath the seat. But in the back in our trunk, we had probably 5 cases of beer and a variety of alcohol. In particular, I think Alan and Pat could tell you about Southern Comfort and maybe some blackberry brandy or lime flavored vodka, something like that. But anyway, we stayed at Alan's, I don't know if it was his aunt or cousin. I think it might have been his aunt, Ruby Lingle. That's where we stayed. But anyway, we weren't very good boarders. Pat and Alan had some trouble one night before we left. But we did have a good time, and that's a great memory for those guys, and a story to tell for you. We did go to the basketball games, though. Wolf Point got beat 2 games, both by 2 points, so it was kind of an unfortunate tournament for us. Miles City actually ended up winning state that year, and they were like 4th or 5th in the conference. So, I think they had an injured player come back, and that helped their team out a bunch. But anyway, we experienced state basketball tournament as seniors in Billings, Montana. I had a good time going to the dance at the Student Union building at Eastern Montana College, and that was a good memory as well. So hats off to that. Senior year really was just, I kind of let my hair down a little bit. Did a little bit more drinking than I'd ever done in high school. During the football season, we had a successful football season, but it seemed like every Saturday night we were out at the airport edition at Neil and Marge Berg's place. In their garage, there used to be a keg out there, and heck, most of the school was out there. at least most of the seniors and the football team for sure. And Jeff's folks, Jeff Berg, the one I mentioned earlier, hosted us. Really didn't get into too much trouble. Wasn't that far from town. Not too many of us ever got out of hand, so those are just kind of some memories. And then some other parties that I went to. One in particular, I think I remember out at Neubauer's. Johnny and Fern had a place on the way out to the bridge, and Jeff and Scott. No, Scott would have graduated by then. Jeff would have been out there, but Scott might have been part of putting on the party because he would have been working on the ranch and the farm. But anyway, one of the memories there from a party that we had out there, there was a bunch of us, Lane Forsness, Jim Hibble, Kelly Moe. I think that might have been it. We went pheasant hunting down at the Forsness cow camp, down on the river bottom on the Indian Highway. And that's another memory. Another memory I have, Lenny Vine, his parents bought a mobile home, and it used to be in the mobile home lot that was just west of the Herald News, and there was a house in between there that Mrs. Puckett, Grandma Puckett had, and right next to her house then was the vacant lot, and that's where Lenny's trailer house was. And Alan Kawasaki and I used to go down there on Monday nights to watch the football game and have a little beer. We were supposed to be doing homework. We maybe did it once in a while, not too often though during football season. So just another memory. Oh Lord. Another memory from my senior year, we put on a musical. I think that was sponsored by the choir teacher Alan Sand and the drama coach Mike Thompson. And that production was Oliver, and it was a musical. And I had a starring role in it as the orphanage. I ran the orphanage. Mr. Bumble was my character. And my wife in the play was Carol Sasslin. And so those are some memories. Pat Friesen played Fagin. I believe John Lister was in it as well. I think Jamie McCann actually was Oliver Twist. Anyway, that's one of the memories as far as music and play production. Moving on to our classes. In the senior year, math class was one called Analytical Geometry. And again, that was taught by Bob Peterson. I took to that class very well. Again, struggled with the homework. I think homework limited me to maybe B's on the tests. Occasionally I'd get an A, but for the most part, straight B's in that class. And then Bob also taught a class that was called Basic Electricity. And we learned a lot in there about electrical circuits and things like that. It really benefited those that wanted to go into the field of being an electrician or working with electronics. It even helped those that might have went into the service. I don't remember any of them specifically, but getting into the electrical field there. So Bob had those two particular classes. Our English class, we were in an advanced class taught by James Christensen. I knew him previously because he lived north of Swede Johnson on the Christensen place He was actually a brother-in-law to Governor Schwinden. His sister was a Christensen. She was married to what was her name? I can't remember it anyway. But the Schwindens' mother was a Christensen. Anyway, Jim Christensen taught us our senior year of English, and one of the great things about that was he was in the Peace Corps, and he'd always share stories, and we'd love to get him off on a tangent. That way, we didn't have to study English for that day. But we'd get him going on. I think most of the stories that he came from, like Nepal or somewhere in the Far East, talking about piranhas and crocodiles and that sort of thing. So anyway, it was kind of an interesting subject that he would tell us, and so we'd get him off on those tangents, so we didn't have to study quite so much English. But he was a good English teacher, a good teacher overall. Was able to get his material down to our level and related to us quite well. Moving on, we had a government class taught by Coach Ron Harshark. And Coach Harshark had American government for that year. Another good class. I really enjoyed it as well. Every Friday was what they call current events day. And we would split up into two teams. And in my particular class was Larry Munson. And Larry and I were probably two of the brightest ones in that class as far as knowing current events and being well read. And heck, I got a lot of my current events from the TV. I was a big TV watcher. Again, because I was auditory. I could read a newspaper and that'd be okay too to learn something. But if I heard something, it was a lot better for me to take it in and comprehend and understand it a little better. But Coach Harshark would make sure that Larry and I were on opposite teams, and we got to pick our teams, and then we would battle to see who would win the day that particular Friday in our current events. And that was always kind of fun. American government was another class. It probably started me down the road to a deeper study of politics. Certainly I was exposed to that with my dad doing the door-to-door when he was running for sheriff. And then certainly later on when my mother was running for the House of Representatives for District 31. That was my government class. And then another class that I took was accounting or bookkeeping. I don't remember. But anyway, it was based on accounting, and that was with Dwayne Jagger. And I really loved that. I was a numbers guy. Took to that real well. In fact, I enjoyed that so much that pretty much straight A's in that class. And then at the end of the year, there was like an accounting test or something that you took. And I ended up earning a scholarship from the IRS to go into the field of accounting at any of the schools that had a business program. But of course I didn't go that route. My mother assisted me in getting a appointment to the Naval Academy, and I ended up going to the prep school because my scores in English on the ACT were low and I couldn't do 2 pull-ups. For whatever reason, my muscles weren't developed that way. I was stronger in my legs than I was in my arms. And after I graduated from high school, then I went into, actually I was in the regular Navy, going to the Naval Academy Prep School in Bainbridge, Maryland. And as we move along into my education career, that'll be the next route we go after we graduate from Wolf Point High School. Wolf Point High School was a good learning experience. Learned a lot. Probably, again, the worst class that I had was that biology class. But other than that, I did fairly well. When I graduated, I got to wear this gold cord around my neck. I did really want to. another one of those Dorothy Cody things. You're going to wear that. And so I did, to please my mother. But my GPA was the bottom of those that wore honors, whether they were the valedictorian or salutatorian or National Honor Society members, or your GPA was 3.0 or better. Well, I had the bottom of that 3.0, and I believe that I graduated maybe 30 or 33 in my class of 99 or 100 and something like that. So at least I was in the top third of my class, I can say. Certainly could have done better, should have done better, but really didn't take to it too much. Homework was the big issue. Wasn't that I didn't know and understand what we were doing. I had some favorite classes. I enjoyed the Spanish that I took. It's benefited me in my older days. And so we ended up... one more story I wanted to tell about the senior year was that we had a skip day in May. And you got to dress down. So we went to school dressed down. I remember wearing slippers and a pair of white trunks with a T-shirt, and I had my mom's house robe, and that was my fare for the day. Alan Kawasaki and Pat, they went kind of as twins in cowboy hats, and they had pink dyed long johns, and it was a full body long john. And then another one that went with us was David Denault, and he had some kind of Elmer Fudd looking hat. I remember it was like hunter orange, and it was the four of us traveling together. And then we actually did skip, I think, the afternoon and went out to the Bridge Park again for a little party. So I let my hair down again as my senior year went through. Started smoking cigarettes. Basically with Pat Friesen. He was kind of a bad influence on me, but like a brother, has been lifelong brother, just like Danny and Alan Kawasaki have. Those were probably three of the best friends we had. Then Lenny Vine certainly, and not to forget about that trip that we took to Billings. Those guys can tell you some stories too. There's one in particular when those policemen in motorcycles came up and busted us. I tried to pull my dad's a law enforcement officer and sheriff card, and that didn't work too well for us. We still got our booze dumped. So anyway, there you have it for the senior year. As many memories as I have, and stories that I could give you, teachers that I had. All in all, high school was a good experience. We'll move on into our postgraduate education after high school. We'll see how far we get with each of those. I could probably give it to you in about 3 or 4 different segments, and I just might do that. So with that, we're going to put another close to another episode of Coffee with Cody. And it's Coffee with Cody signing out.